Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be seeing their video on cars, and I would like to yet again give shoutouts to both my friend Nico and Gabriel Ortiz for requesting this video. Enjoy the video, everybody.
Okay, here we go. Focus.
Car narration.
But McQueen is talking to himself, not to the audience, so this isn't narration.
Okay, I get that he's a race car, but he lives in a world where the cars are living things. So why would race cars ever spend time in a dark trailer waiting for some big reveal like a human world race car?
This is because race cars aren't usually street legal due to not being made to drive on roads, so they usually go from place to place in a trailer.
Are the helicopters anthropomorphic, or are there cars inside the helicopters flying them? And if these helicopters are on their own, why isn't there a whole world full of them having helicopter races?
To answer the first part of your sin, yes, the helicopters are anthropomorphic just like the cars. And to answer the second part, the reason why we don't see a world with helicopter races is because there is no movie called Helicopters. And no, I'm not counting planes because those movies are about planes, not helicopters.
Also, I see Dinoco still exists in the living race car world, even though this is a completely different world than the one in Toy Story.
But oil is something they have in common because in this movie, Dinoco is an oil company, and to connect to Toy Story, gasoline is made of crude oil.
If they were a car outperforming the others like this, especially at the end of the race, then the race wouldn't ever be in question. In other words, bull.
I don't really see this as bullshit because sometimes racers might have their own skills to do well in a race. For me, I did running races in high school, and one skill that I had was that I'd conserve my energy and speed up when nearing the finish line.
In this race, this is no different than a 10,000 meter foot race, right? Why would an event such as running be such a big sport in this world?
Maybe because these cars are anthropomorphic, driving would be the same thing as running to them?
Separate men and women's bathrooms open up the question as to what makes a car male or female, and how car sex works.
Like I said in the Monsters Inc. video, this is an animated family film, so they're not going to be talking about how car sex works.
Also, shouldn't this sexist joke about this long line of women cars be the other way around? Or am I being sexist thinking it should be another way? F it.
Well, the women's restroom having a line outside of it is something that happens in real life, and this happens for a variety of reasons, such as menstruation, clothing, fewer stalls, and women usually tend to take longer in the bathroom than men do.
Tony Stewart.
Not a sin there, my dude.
I'm Bob Cutlass, here with my good friend Daryl Cartrip.
Get it? It's just like the Flintstones, for cars.
I wouldn't say that this movie and Flintstones stand out because at the end of other movies, characters don't want what they thought they wanted.
This race also brings into question why there are nothing but male cars driving in it. Are male cars inherently faster than female cars? What kind of bull is that?
There actually is a female racer, which is Misty Motorcrass. And in Cars 2, there is a female racer named Carla Veloso.
There's no way the rookie can make it through. Not in one piece, that is.
Daryl Cartrip would be excellent at CinemaSins.
Did you have to clear your throat during your voiceover? Because you do realize that you can always just do a retake when doing a voiceover, right? I do it all the time.
This maneuver is total bullshit, but if this really is a race like Daytona or something like that, this mega wreck would cause a delay or a stoppage that would freeze the action until it got sorted out.
Well, they do. When a yellow flag is out in a race, it slows down the race and indicates a caution period on the track due to a crash or debris.
He's not pitting!
Wait, you're saying everyone pitted at the 215-mile mark except McQueen, and he's still somehow in the lead 80 laps later without pitting, and his car hasn't broken down?
He actually does pit 80 laps later, but denies getting new tires. And because of that, he doesn't win the race because both of his back tires blow out during the final lap. And because you cut those parts out of this video, you'll be, as usual, getting 30 sins from me.
Cars should not have tongues, but whatever. Even if they did, the tongue extension should not count in this automobile race.
Well, the cars in this movie have human characteristics, and having a tongue would be part of that category.
That's a headlight joke right there.
Yeah, that's one of the adult jokes in this movie.
Piston Cup officials have determined that a tiebreaker race between the three leaders will be held in California in 1 week.
Hope you didn't have plans. Also, why not just f***ing race right now? And why is that gotta take place in California?
Probably because the tie was unexpected and the other cars are leaving since they wouldn't want to stay for more hours just for a small race.
Don't drive like my brother! Oh yeah, don't drive like my brother!
This click and clack cameo is now sad since one of them died. Nice going, Pixar. Thanks, Obama.
Death happens to everyone at some point, and because that's neither Pixar's nor the movie's fault, I will be giving out my award here.
I get what you're going for here with the hustle and bustle of life, but is there any highway in the US with this much f***ery of exits and entrance ramps going on?
Yes, there are some like this one, and you'd know that if you did your research.
By the way, this car getting a ride from a truck doesn't endear me much to Lightning McQueen, but I'm already having trouble figuring out why I should root for this guy since he's been nothing but an asshole since the movie started.
Well, let's look at these two characters from two other videos I've made, because you referred to both of them as dicks. And yes, they did act like dicks, but that's because that's how they were characterized. And did they change at the end of their movies? Yes. And the same thing will happen to McQueen.
This rough and tough car street gang's main motivation is to make tired vehicles sleep?
Yes, that is their motivation here.
Well, in order for this movie to happen, it needs the truck to fall asleep, the asshat neon cars to push the truck into the rumble strips, and the rumble strips to cause a bobblehead to fall and open the back door.
Like in previous videos, you seem to just be saying what is happening in the scene and not pointing out something wrong with it.
Mac!
Aren't nearly all these trucks named Mac? Because if they aren't, that's some bullshit and I don't like it.
No, because when McQueen mistakes the Peterbilt for Mac, he says,
Mac? I ain't no Mac. I'm a Peterbilt for dang sake.
After driving along thinking every semi he sees is Mac, Lightning makes the crazy decision to pinpoint Mac's identity to this one exiting semi, because story. I mean, think about it, Lightning. Why would Mac be getting off the highway to California at a lonely exit offering no truck stops or gasoline or anything? The entire movie hinges on this terrible split-second decision made by Lightning.
you should actually think about it, because right now McQueen is in a panic, and when someone's panicking, they don't always think logically.
In this world, you can get a ticket for running too fast.
Wait, so you're now counting running as driving even though you weren't earlier? Why am I not surprised?
So, remember the movie Doc Hollywood? Michael J. Fox played a doctor who had a big interview at the plastic surgery office and he had car.
Next.
I'm for a good pun, just like anybody, but breaking news? As in news that's so important you break for it? How do we reconcile that?
The meaning behind this pun is that because we use breaking news in the real world, breaking is used here because this is a world of cars.
You're all aware of our town's proud history.
Here she goes again.
Again? Do you have regular court sessions in this tiny-ass podunk town? Enough that she's given this speech before? I don't think so, is what I'm saying.
Based on Doc saying, here she goes again, you'd think that'd be enough to tell you that this has happened before.
Oh man, you get to work with Bessie. I'd give my left two lug nuts or something like that.
The whole movie is filled with like this.
Yeah. So?
Also, in 2006, this was right around the time you thought, man, Pixar has a perfect record. They may lose that perfect record. Why, Cars? Why?
Pixar didn't lose their perfect record with this movie. It has the highest tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes out of all the Cars movies. And while they did lose their perfect record with Cars 2, I'd like to mention that I'm one of those people that actually likes that movie.
After an attempted getaway, Lightning runs out of gas at the exact spot the cop and district attorney are inexplicably waiting to taunt him.
And this is so we, the audience, can know that the residents of Radiator Springs had already thought ahead in case McQueen tried to run away.
They just dart around this massive road damage as though it's a puddle, paying it no attention whatsoever, thereby kind of proving Lightning's point about how little the pavement damage really matters.
Well, it does matter for the Radiator Springs residents based on when Sally said,
But how, I ask you, are we to care for those travelers if there is no road for them to drive on?
and also, Minnie and Van are acknowledging the damage based on them stepping over it at this part of the movie.
Radiator Springs is filled with the most desperate salesmen created this side of Glengarry Glen Ross. I also think I now understand how this town went extinct.
Actually, the main reason why Radiator Springs went off the map was because of the interstate being built and customers came less often.
Movie wastes time with a Lightning McQueen nightmare, where Chick Hicks gets the Dynaco sponsorship. Something we don't give a about right now because Lightning has been nothing but a big asshole this whole movie. We like Chick better than this dude, so it seems like a good fantasy to us.
Seriously, McQueen has just been acting arrogant while Chick has caused many cars to crash, so he's definitely worse than McQueen. Also, you show an anthropomorphic helicopter right here, and I guess you're just going to ignore it?
Then why don't we just have a little race? Me and you.
This guy is super flexible on applying the law after spending the first half of the movie being super stringent about it.
Doc and McQueen are just going to be doing a private race, and only the Radiator Springs cars are the audience, so Doc isn't applying the law.
Wait, are those tire tracks in the sky? They have flying vehicles that make normal smoke, right?
Yes, they do have flying vehicles, but they make normal cirrus clouds, not normal smoke. I mean, do those even look like smoke?
Mama ain't seen you that low in years.
I haven't seen a road like this in years.
Do these cars really never go anywhere? I mean, what's the point of being a car?
Yes, this is evident when Sally tells McQueen that after she was fixed up by Doc and the others after breaking down, she never left Radiator Springs.
That punk actually did a good job.
And it makes up for all the bad stuff he's done so far.
Yeah, so how exactly is that wrong here?
If you're going hard enough left, you'll find yourself turning right.
Is he talking about race cars or sexual fluidity or city planning?
No, he's talking about a possible turn to do on dirt.
Tractor tipping's fun.
Oh, come on. What kind of bullshit am I watching right now?
To answer your question, a great and funny Pixar movie. And also, that was a thought, not a sin. And this sin is receiving my award.
You're in love with Miss Sally.
Wait, did something happen in this movie that would make a love story possible? Had they spoken more than 50 words to each other?
Yes, when Sally entered the courthouse, McQueen immediately started falling in love with her.
It's actually insane I'm watching a Pixar movie right now. It's got so much filler in it. When it came to making this movie, I guess they just threw out that story first philosophy.
Really? This movie is about an arrogant racer learning humility and that there's more to life than trophies and fame. So I think that you haven't actually been watching this movie, and like 2 sins ago, this sin will also be receiving my award.
I knowed I made a good choice.
In what?
My best friend.
Movie makes an attempt at a half-assed emotional connection an hour into the movie.
No. Singing this heartfelt scene, for any reason at all, that's worth these many sins.
Also, this says a lot more about what a whole Radiator Springs is than any other attempt by the movie to convince me this place is a
Hey, Stickers.
How did Lightning turn all the way around in this thing?
It was probably easy for him to do after making a jump, which you showed on screen.
I like Sally as much as the next car, but cone-shaped clock? cone-shaped lamps, cone-shaped artwork, wallpaper, baseboards, flower pot, picture frame, and that's beyond the huts themselves. I think it's safe to say Sally took the cone theme way too many steps too far, like she might be a serial killer, for reals.
As I've said many times before, there is nothing in this movie that tells us that.
This asshole dreams this for the third time, and with a third different car winning all the shit he wants to win. And amazingly, despite the total nothing of the plot, Cars is quite long for a Pixar movie.
Since I don't have the energy to explain it again, I'll just say again that there is a story you just have not been paying attention.
He has a piston cup? 3 piston cups?
No, 4 piston cups! Ha 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 ha!
No, the movie only shows us 3.
I mean, have you ever seen him race?
But Doc didn't actually race. He stayed at the starting line and drove with Mater, anticipating that McQueen would land in the cactus patch.
He won 3 piston cups!
He did what in his cup?
Oh, come on, that was funny. Also, your side expresses your opinion on this joke, which is not a sin, and I'll be giving out my award yet again.
Come on, let's take a drive.
Tractor tipping last night, lazy afternoon drive today. It's almost like Lightning wants to follow the script more than he actually wants to get out of this town.
And the reasons for McQueen following the script are so that we can see him start to change as a character.
Back then, cars came across the country a whole different way.
Is Jessie about to sing When She Loved Me? Because I can totally come back in 3 minutes or so if that's going to happen.
That was again not a sin. That was a thought, and this will also be getting my award.
Also, a movie takes time to give a road history lesson.
Well, yeah, this is so we, the audience, can learn the history of Radiator Springs.
And then the movie gets way heavy-handed about its small-town businesses killed by the rush of American commerce, and kind of loses me completely.
I don't really see how that's a mistake that the movie made.
This tractor tipping thing gets even more screen time in this zero-plot movie.
Do I really need to say it again? There is a story in this movie. You know what? Never mind.
They spend so much time on showing this turn in the movie, there must be one exactly like it at the Piston Cup track. Luckily for Lightning, he's got someone who can show him how to do it. Something tells me this would have been no issue at all if Lightning had made it to California as planned, but because he's stuck here, learning this turn suddenly became the most important thing ever, even though his real problem so far was that he didn't change his tires and he was a dick to his crew.
First, McQueen wouldn't have needed to use that turn on the track because it's asphalt, which is what he's used to turning on. And secondly, you are yet again giving this movie a sin for something that didn't happen. Remember, the key word there is if.
When I finally got put together, I went back expecting a big welcome. You know what they said? Your history.
I have never known a time in sports history when an athlete was still in his prime and got completely ignored just because that person suffered a season-ending injury.
Well, here's an example for you.
What did Luigi tell you, eh?
Wow, you were right. Better than a Ferrari, huh?
The message of the next montage is that if you buy a whole bunch of stuff, you are suddenly a good person.
And this is because McQueen is bonded with the Radiator Springs residents and wants to spend time with them instead of leaving.
It's over. While the world's been trying to find you, Dynaco has had no one to woo.
Lightning's been gone for nearly a week, and the damage is done, and he already knew Dynaco was wooing Chick, but is suddenly motivated to get that stupid sponsorship again because his agent tells him this stuff he already knows.
I agree with what you said here, but what I don't get is why you're not seeing the US version of this movie. That clip you played is Jeremy Clarkson, who is the voice of Harv in the UK version.
Radiation stinks now, or Dynaco is history, seriously.
Did this Pixar movie really need Jeremy Piven doing his entourage agent shtick? They really made this movie from spare parts, didn't they? Pun intended. F*** it.
Okay, I'm confused. You just said Piven, but you're not seeing the US version of this movie.
In fact, the country is almost shut down.
This country would never shut down or even almost shut down for a fucking NASCAR race.
But that clip you just played tells you otherwise, so I don't see how this is a sin.
Before appearing suddenly at this Piston Cup race, Doc took the time to have his old race name painted on his sides, to help the kids in the viewing audience understand the importance of self-promotion and braggadocio, and to waste time.
Or maybe he got his old look back because he's returning to a racing field?
So remember all that time the movie spent with that turn? Finally gets its moment to shine here. But one question. How is Lightning an expert at it after failing 1,000,000 times and seeing Doc do it once?
Well, when you successfully do something for the first time, you're not necessarily an expert at it, which I think is the same for McQueen.
Also, I'm glad McQueen finally learns and understands the go hard enough left you'll find yourself going right lesson. Truly I am. But isn't he cheating his ass off by utterly shortcutting this track by running through the grass?
No, McQueen ended up in the grass because Chick pushed him there, and if you were actually paying attention, you would know that.
Lightning grows a conscience at the stupidest time. A moment that should show me how much he's grown actually makes me physically angry.
If McQueen did cross the finish line, that would have shown us that he still only cared about winning and that he hadn't changed as a character.
I think the king should finish his last race.
Something you could have helped with after winning, but whatever. Good moral lesson, yo.
See the previous sin.
But I didn't win.
Lightning, there's a whole lot more to racing than just winning.
Name one thing.
Working with others as a team.
Hey, I'm back. Want to see my car penis?
Jeremy makes an inappropriate comment, cliche.
What now happens to Radiator Springs is someone builds a Walmart, followed by a McDonald's, and the charming small town turns into every other place in the US.
Like I've said many times before, nothing in the movie shows us that, so I'm not sure where you're getting that from.
It took 6 writers, including a writing team, to write this movie. Yeah, this movie.
Well, if the movie is saying that it was this many people for the screenplay, then that's how many there were. Here's the end result, everybody. The sin total was 513, and the sentence will be road fixing sins. Thank you for watching, everybody. Now, before we close out this video, I would like to give a brief teaser about my next video. Some of you guys might be surprised by the next movie I'm doing a video on because it's a movie that most people don't like, but I actually really like it. But I don't want to say which one it is because I want to surprise you guys. All right, now that I've said that, have a nice day.